Graham Matthews with FanSided here. We're talking to DDP Diamond Dallas Page ahead of the upcoming episode WWE Biography Legends airing on A&E this Sunday, March 17th. DDP, man, what's going on? Thanks for taking the time.
I was just getting the word out about the biography, excited about it, like the way they did it. I mean, I can't believe that they fit that much of my life into that short a period of time, but it worked. And I think I think they're gonna dig it. I think they're gonna dig seeing Kimberly, on again, because you don't really get to see, that kind of situation, especially when you were married and now you're not. But Kimberly and I are really still very close. Matter of fact, I just hired her as the COO of DDP Yoga because I want some of her wisdom instead of being part-time to be full-time. So her and her husband are they're literally driving from Vegas, to here in Atlanta as we speak. I'm excited to have her, and she's on the show. My sister Sally, you'll get to see some of the perspectives of my sister. So who was on that ride for me as I went along. And it was a hell of a journey, man. Still going.
Yeah. Obviously, part of your legacy is helping other people as well. We spoke to you last year about the Jake Roberts documentary that A&E did on him, and then we just had Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, obviously last week. Your episode airing this week. I feel like it's super fitting to not only get you and Razor, to get you and Scott in the same season, but back-to-back weeks. I mean, just works out perfectly.
I will never forget having that first phone call from Scott when he was annihilated. We were the first, Resurrection of Jake the Snake. If anybody's never seen it, let's go to Amazon Prime. It's up there. But we were talking, I actually got Sean Waltman had sent me a DM, and someone told me about it because I don't look at all those DMs on, especially Twitter back in the day, 2013 or whatever it was. I think it was 2012 and 2013. And it said, Dally, love what you've done with Jake. Will you please reach out to Scott? He said he's got a gun. He said he's going to kill himself. So I pick up the phone. He, in 10 years, Scott had not answered the call. Like, just not answer. Let it go to machine. Never call me back. This day he picked up. And it was a magical call in the way that he started just like so out of it. But by the end, you could see him coming around and his voice was changing. And, in Resurrection of Jake the Snake, we could only put like 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes in there, but it was like 20. And by the time we got to the end of it, you really thought like, man, maybe there's a chance. Maybe there's a chance that he could come back and he'll come in and be with us and just the camaraderie and try to help each other. And we hung up and I was going in the refrigerator and Jake was behind me. I look at Jake, I go, can you imagine you and Scott both getting sober in the same year in the same house? And he shook his head as only Jake can say. Whew, I'm going to get your crown of thorns ready right now. And he walked off. And I just laughed out loud because only Jake Roberts would say so. Such a witty cat, like funny though, but it's good to be in the same year. And I really miss him. I was very emotional during that interview because it was like, boom, pretty much, a few months after it. So it was, it was tough having that, but I'm glad, they captured that,
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, like you said, his story is well documented. Scott's, Jake's, yours as well. WWE's done docs on you before that came out around the time that you were inducted, about 7 years ago at this point. I was in Orlando for that Mania, so to think it's been 7 years since you were inducted is crazy. But just kind of talking about like this opportunity to reflect on your career, is it any differently now than it was even 7 years ago, having a different outlook on your career compared to that point when you were first documenting your career?
Well, it was different outcomes for a different outlook to it. I like the way it was a different way they cut this and stuff from the club days and stuff, stuff, pictures that you've never seen before, that I didn't realize that they put in there, so I enjoyed it, and I'm very critical of anything that has to do with me. So if I enjoy it, I think other people will as well, and it gets into, the work that I'm doing today, and it's what we're doing today. Like when about, God, it's got to be 20 years ago, I was doing it was longer than that. I was doing an interview with Brian Alvarez. You know who
Hmm.
he is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Brian had said to me, he said, so where is Diamond Dallas Page 5 years from now?
Hmm.
I said, honestly, I said, my program, I think it starts to overshadow my wrestling career. And he went, whoa, he goes, that's a bold statement. He goes, because you had a hell of a career. I said, yeah, but what I'm doing today, it's next level stuff. It's changing people. It's not just helping people change their life, but helping people own their lives. And a lot of them who didn't ever think that was possible. So I think you start to get more of a taste of that in this documentary as well.
It's been about what, 4 years now since your last match, as part of that Bash at the Beach, whatever it was called, that AEW event back
Right.
in January of 2020. Obviously keeping busy recently. I know you were at Rumble Weekend. We'll get back to that, but you were at Sting's last match just a week and a half ago, documenting that experience, getting to see his last match, which was obviously epic. Talk about, like, I don't know if you get into it in the documentary, so if you do, I apologize. But as far as, like, was having that one final match to you like something of super importance, or just going out there and doing, having fun? You've been in a Rumble, battle royals here and there. Was that of something like, I want to have my final match be like a big deal sort of thing, or just kind of ride out into the sunset?
Well, if it would have just been a regular match and I didn't do something I've never done before, which is
Mhm.
Cody. What this was Cody's call. He
Yeah.
goes, "You go in there and blow a comeback like I know you can." He said, and then Dustin's going to do this flip over, and then QT's going to do this flip over, and then you're going to go to the top and jump on everybody. And I just went, I didn't sell it. I didn't sell it. Kind of like what Bischoff told me, and Sting's going to drop from the ground and you're going to grab him and you're both going to go up together. I didn't sell it.
Yep.
I knew there was more than just hold on to Sting. We're going up, which they just showed that recently, which was pretty cool. But uh, for me, when I was a manager in the AWA, there's a picture somewhere because I had it, and someone has it's not as clear as I want it to be, but the Guerreros were in a feud with my bad company, my guys that I was managing. And at the end of this spot, Paul goes down and Pat goes out. So I come over to help them up. And here's Mondo running full speed, runs up to the top and springboards on top of us. I'd never seen that ever.
Hmm.
And it was like a picture of me like, oh my God, like what the hell is he doing? Because no one's smartened me up either. Okay. He just came flying. And that would be the last thing I would do in professional wrestling. That's pretty epic. You know? So I'm good with how I went out with that. And I was glad I had it. And I got to do promos because as soon as Cody told me that they were getting TNT, right in the beginning, I said to him, I said, bro, I think I might want to do something because the fact, if you would have told me, and I said this in an interview, that DDP would have been back on TNT with a company called AEW, I'd have to say you're smoking crack, but here I am. And we were getting a good buzz that night, having a few beers and stuff. And I called him back the next day and I said, bro, I think I might have been talking, too fast. I go, let's table this for a while. And this was right in the beginning. And he goes, sure. If you wanted to let me know. And then I realized that if you go back to 1979, when I had 3 matches in wrestling, the third one I hurt my knee and ended up getting an opportunity to run a little rock and roll joint. So I never went back to wrestling. The booze, the broads, and the party took me in a whole different spot. But 79, when I come in and work with Dusty Rhodes in 88 and 89, Florida Championship Wrestling, 89, he has me managing Big Steel Man, who would become Tugboat.
Mhm.
I'm also color commentating with Gordon Soley. And he's against Dick Slater. And if Dick Slater beats him, he's got 5 minutes with me. Like that match is on YouTube somewhere. I saw it one point in time. Not that bad considering I don't know anything, you know. And bottom line, so that's 70s, there's the 80s. 90s, you know my run there. 2000. In 2010, Ray Lloyd called me up and said, we want to do this 6-man. We want you to be in it. It's up in Rome, Georgia. You know, it's a good payoff for you. Well, I go, dude, I don't want to do it. He goes, bro, just please think about it. And I thought about 70s, 80s, 90s. That'll mean I wrestled in 5 decades.
Mhm.
And then when it became 2020, I called Cody back up and I said, I want to do it. It'll give me 6 decades. I don't know many people who can say that they wrestled at least once in 6 decades,
Yeah.
but I'm one of those few people who can say that. And that's the main reason I did it. And getting to work with MJF, who we know is one of the biggest cats on the world now.
Mhm.
You know, he was world champion for a while, and maybe one of the greatest talkers ever. You know, he's definitely in top 5. I mean, this kid can go. So to be able to work with him in his, his infancy stages
Mhm.
coming out was really cool. So I really enjoyed that. So I'm good. Now, if WWE wanted me to do something, I might think about it, but I don't see it happening. So, unless they're going to do People's Champ against People's Champ. Oh, wait a minute. Rock's not the People's Champ now. I love the fact that what The Rock is doing, man, how this has elevated Cody to like a level that, like when I did his stuff with Malone, which I love Malone in the biography, which is
Mhm.
he's such a real loving guy, and we had a great time when we were doing that. And he really trained with me a lot. But when I did that and we shot that angle on the Tonight Show where Malone, Rodman and Hogan were on the set of the Tonight Show, we came in from the wings right after they had finished the series, and we shot that angle, man, it took me to a different level. Like with not so much as the regular wrestling fans. I think I was already there with them, but people who didn't know, but now knew that name. Well, Cody right now, between working with one of the greatest champions ever, Roman, he had an unbelievable run, and now the biggest star in the world.
Mhm.
And really, you got to really think about that, because the biggest star in the world used to be Tom Cruise. Over the last 8 to 10 years, it's been The Rock, and he's one of us. So that's a really big deal, and the fact that Cody is in all of that, and there's a really good chance he could walk away with the brass ring, is really pretty wild and
Yeah.
amazing all at the same time. So couldn't be any happier for him. And all of a sudden, it's cool to be a wrestling fan again, because what most of those people don't know, because you've been following the stories as it's gone through. And I love the storytelling today. And the guy who's mostly responsible for that is Triple H. And we started together. When he came in, he was 22. I was 35, at the power plant. And he was there every day right with me. I remember one night we went to a gentleman's club after we got done working out, have a few beers. Triple H never drank. He was just with us. And I was standing with Terry Taylor, who had been training us. And Triple H took a walk to go to the restroom, and he goes, I really like that kid. He's got your work ethic. I said, yeah, and his age. Yeah, he was 22, I was 35. So I love the storytelling that they're doing right now.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I was there at the Rumble, so I was in the press box, and I think at that point everyone started to filter out because we had the press conference right after, which obviously because you asked Cody a question, you were sitting right in front of me. It was pretty funny to see that. But prior to that point, though, so Cody wins the Rumble. I'm thinking Punk's winning, but I mean, obviously, I'm happy with Cody winning. It was an amazing moment. But you're sitting there next to Chris Van Vliet, that is obviously, and it was me, my girlfriend, a couple other people on my left. There was like no one else there, but you were still there. Everyone else got up because we had to get going. It's literally as soon as the match was over, we had to run down to the press conference for as soon as it started. But Cody wins, and I'm packing all my shit up as quickly as I can. My girlfriend said she looked over at you, and you were I mean, obviously, as you just talked about Cody, as happy as could be. You looked over, shot her a smile and a thumbs up, like my man just did it. Cody just won
Yeah,
the Rumble. So
yeah.
just an amazing moment. It was just cool to see that in person, just to see your reaction to Cody, then getting to ask him a question at the press conference too.
Yeah, it's so funny because Chris said because they were coming to you, they walk through and they hand you the little band
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
can get in the press conference. And the guy handed me one, and he looks, he goes, "Hey," he goes, "You're going to be in the press conference. You should
Oh
come."
God,
I
yeah,
go, "Yeah, maybe I'll come." He goes, "You should ask the first question." Swear to God, he said that.
yeah,
And I said, "Yeah, right, okay." And I leave it, and I realized because all you guys are gone and I didn't know how to get back downstairs
yeah. Oh, it was
because
crazy.
the
Yeah,
elevator, I got on it with so many fans. Everybody was freaking out because I was there. So I just figured, screw it. I'm going to walk down through the people. I'm going to catch him at some point walking down the ramp.
yeah,
And
yeah,
people were freaking like getting like whiplash. Tick, tick, tick.
yeah, yeah.
I just walked through and walked right down the thing, climbed over the railing. And Cody is the ultimate babyface. And this is why, to
Seriously,
me,
yeah.
yeah, he's that guy outside of the cameras as well. But they're not filming anymore. He's going down. He could have just been high-fiving people back, but he doesn't. He takes the time.
Hmm.
He takes pictures with people. I can remember this is all the shit I used to do. And back when it was just those little, $8 cameras,
Yeah.
the throwaways. People be like trying to take a picture and they'd be so nervous. I go, come down, just breathe, breathe. No, no, don't take my camera, don't get because they would take cameras back then. And I would just go like this and do camera picture like that with the picture. And I watch him doing that and
Yep.
signing autographs. And then he turned around and I was standing right there. He was like, ah, gave me a big hug. And it was really a fun moment because in wrestling, there's so many swerves and you don't really know what's going to happen until you're in it.
Hmm.
Like you never believe, what anyone says until you've done your entrance and you're walking to the ring. And then you know what's going to happen because they can't change it then. So whatever you got told is what's going to happen. And that could change 7 different ways. And there's a lot of ego goes into professional wrestling because in a world that's predetermined, um, it's not up to you. It's up to you though, how you control this 6-inch piece of real estate in between your ears. I wrote a book on it and call it Positively Unstoppable. The art of owning it. It is that inner voice. It is that story you tell yourself. And when you really start to own that, you really get to control the only thing you get to control. And that's the way you react, how you adapt, how you take action, and how you breathe. And breathing will control all of that. So as you can imagine, over these last couple of years, I have said to him on many occasions, just breathe, bro. Just breathe. And it's so important. When I walked out for my Hall of Fame ring, inside my Hall of Fame ring, it says work ethic equals dreams. Explanation point, DDP. When I walked out there with my 4 daughters, 20 minutes before that, I'm breathing in and out for 3, 5, 10, 15. And at some point, I'm mastering 20. One breath. one inhale, one exhale. What happens is when you're deep breathing, you activate the hypothalamus, which is connected to the pituitary gland in the brain, which helps you relieve stress and anxiety due to the physiological effect it has on our nervous system. When you're deep breathing, you personally are sending neurohormones to inhibit the stress producing hormones, which triggers a relaxation response in the body. So that's why your breath isn't just the most important thing you do because of your life. I mean, we can survive without weeks without food, days without water, but not even minutes without air. So your breath is the most important thing. And so many times, bro, just breathe. No, breathe. And it will relieve the stress and anxiety.
I think that's an amazing note to end on. And not only that, what's funny, DDP, is that when we spoke last year for the Jake episode, kind of you said something similar as far as like the affirmations too. And you
Right.
mentioned the Muhammad quote, Muhammad Ali quote, obviously, I am
Right.
the greatest. I embarrassingly thought when you asked me who said that quote, I said Dusty Rhodes.
Dude, I never forgot that because you're the only one that said that. But I thought to myself, it could have been. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, definitely. Yeah.
it really could have been.
Yeah. And what I was
That
going to
is
say
so.
was that, that was about a year ago. And obviously I haven't forgotten it was an Ali quote since then. Today, as we speak on Monday, March 11th, latest inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. Everything happens for a reason, I think. He was just announced today. So it's kind of cool. It all kind of goes
Who's
full
announced?
circle.
Who's outside?
Muhammad Ali announced today for the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God, yeah. Dude, so Muhammad Ali was like the biggest wrestling fan.
Yeah, yeah, of
I
course.
mean, that he's going in on number 40, like, oh man, I had so many good, I had two different really special moments with him. And like the time that I already told you the time about when I met him the first time, right? I told you that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it
yeah.
was just so magical, man. He was he changed the world on so many different levels. I mean, if you really, there's a documentary right now that's amazing. I believe I saw it on Amazon, and it's I Am Ali.
Hmm.
Is amazing. And Gene Kilroy, who was his manager, was also a humongous Carl Malone fan. And I was there when they lost game 6 and they weren't gonna, they weren't gonna beat the Bulls.
Hmm.
Gene was there and he gave, like, when someone becomes a champion, all the guys who are responsible, they all get a ring, right? That whoever trained him, whoever was in his corner, those guys. Gene Kilroy was his manager. He gave him the Muhammad Ali ring. How much did he love Karl Malone?
That's crazy.
Yeah, right. And I
Wow.
remember it because he had it on, and Gene told me he was going to do it, and I was like, wow, that's a ring
Hmm.
that you can't put a price value on that.
Yeah.
So
That's a
it's so
memory
cool
that
that
they'll never forget. Yeah.
I'm going to put up a bunch of pictures of me and him. I got a bunch of them. I love them.
That's awesome. Well, like I said, it all works out for a reason. Glad he's going in. Glad you went in 7 years ago, obviously, DDP. And everyone can check out your documentary, talking all about this stuff and so much more, obviously, airing this Sunday on A&E Biography, WWE Legends. Always a pleasure chatting, DDP. Like I said, I'll never forget that you corrected me on that Ali quote. And hopefully next time I'll do my research a little bit better. But it's always a pleasure, my man. Thank you so much for the time. I
Dude,
appreciate it.
you couldn't have had a better answer though,
That's
because
true.
it's every time I ask it to people,
Yeah.
every time I hear that.
Yeah.
And there was times with Dream, especially when we were at Florida Championship Wrestling, because he was really he put his own money into that, because he could do 5,000 people at an autograph signing, but then WWF just they were taking so much of the business at that point that you just couldn't have a Florida come anymore. But I would watch him, not just there, but later on when he brought me into WCW, I literally was in booking meetings. Like, how they decide what they're going to do and what the angles are and who's going to do this, who's going to do that. And Dusty, I had no idea how much heat this was getting me, and not good heat,
Mhm.
but he'd ask my opinion and I'd tell him. And I had a pretty good insight in the business, but I didn't realize like in that room how much heat I was getting by letting people know exactly how I felt. And I would watch guys, and I would never name names, but stab Dusty in the back. And I would be like, Dream, how do you do it, bro? How do you stay so positive? Now, this is me saying that to somebody. So, because
Saying something, yeah.
everybody says the same thing to me,
Yeah.
but I learned a lot of it from him. And the reason why I am a 3-time world champion, the mental part was him. Did I ever tell you that story?
I think so. I think we spoke last time about that, I believe.
Yeah. It was so powerful. It was so powerful when I told him I was never going to be him, Rick, or him, Rick, or of Hogan. I said, I know I'm never gonna be. And he came back with, I said, man, I know I'm never gonna be the world champion. And man, he just, what? That enough. But it was just like he set me straight.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't believe it, why should anybody else? And that goes back to people who say, I believe it when I can see it. Those people never see shit. But the people who say, I believe it because I see it. Cody Rhodes saw this leaving the WWE. It isn't just something that happened. He saw it when he was a kid coming in. Actually, what he was going to do, he didn't get a chance to do it while he was still alive, but he was going to give him the belt.
Mm-hmm.
So he never got a chance to do that, but there will be this moment. And I hope it all comes around for just professional wrestling in general. Hey, Graham, great talking to you, man. Come up and say hello at the press conference if you see me sitting in there.
I definitely will. I look forward to a DDP. I look forward to. Are you going to be there Mania weekend? I imagine so. I mean, it's Cody's big.
Yeah, I'll get in a couple days early,
Yeah.
but not much because I'm going from there to Bora Bora for my wife's 50th.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
congratulations. That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's very cool, and she's 50 and she looks 32. Another freak that holds back the hands of time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I knew she really wanted to go. And like the last thing I want to do is travel anywhere before that. But obviously, I'm not missing this.
No, definitely not. I don't think any of us are. And we're not going to be missing to kind of throw it all the way back around your A&E biography airing this Sunday, March 17th. DDP, man, this has always been amazing. I look forward to seeing you in person next time and chatting the next time as well.
You got it, man. Have a good one.
You too.
See ya. Bang.